Disclaimer, there will be spoilers mentioned in this video, so if you haven't seen this film and don't want me to give anything away about it, this is your warning to go watch it first and then come back. Also, everything said in this video is just my opinion based off of personal experiences. Feel free to agree or disagree as you wish. After all, this is just a personal critique. Enjoy the video! So for some reason, I started remembering a really old kids movie I used to watch when I was little, but I could only think of some of the moments. I couldn't think of like the actual name, what it was, or like any of the characters kind of. And you know, I used to watch it on VHS tapes, but ever since we got rid of all of our VHS tapes, you know, kind of hard to figure it out now. But I do remember certain scenes of a girl in a dungeon and a romance story. So I recently looked it up. To my surprise, it was actually Scooby-Doo in the Arabian Nights. This is weird because I don't remember Scooby-Doo being in this movie like at all, and I don't remember Shaggy, but I recently found it for free, so let's go ahead and dive right into my childhood and critique this movie. Scooby-Doo in Arabian Nights was co-directed by June Falkenstein and Jonah Romersa, I think. It was released in 1994 and written by Gordon Kent and Glenn Leopold. I'm sorry. And our main characters are Scooby, played by Casey Chasm. I am not good on names today. I apologize. Shaggy, which is played by Greg Burson. Alan Mevlin, who plays Yogi Bear. I do not remember Yogi Bear either at all being in this movie. Our story starts off with Shaggy and Scooby flying on a magic carpet, riding to a castle where they've been hired as royal food tasters. Of course, the only thing they're excited about is eating all the food. However, they forgot that the whole point of their job is to make sure that the food isn't poison, which, you know, makes sense for them, but also they accidentally ate all of the food. No, they ate all of it in like 2 minutes. And the penalty for eating the royal lunch is death. That's a little extreme for a kids movie. So Shaggy and Scooby try to escape the prince by having Shaggy disguise himself as a girl that the prince conveniently chooses to be his bride. Like, he chooses Shaggy to be his bride. Oh no. But it's okay because Shaggy is going to distract him with a story. Now we're getting into the part where I actually start to remember. So this is a story about a lonely prince looking for his true love. And when he was a child, he was supposed to marry a girl from another royal family, but she was kidnapped. Dang. His father, the Sultan, decides to hold a ball for every eligible for every eligible lady to present themselves to the prince. However, the prince notices a peasant girl washing her clothes near the palace, and she drops her scarf. Oh man. And so the prince goes after her. Yeah, just a heads up, this story is basically Cinderella and Aladdin combined, so you'll probably see where this is going. Anyway, so the Sultan's right-hand man, Haman, talks to this amulet guy and finds out that he is able to get the lamp of the genie by making Aladdin, the peasant girl we saw earlier, go in and get the lamp for him. Why is he doing this? I don't know, probably because he wants to be sultan or something, because, you know, this is going based off of Aladdin. Aladdin shows up to help Haman retrieve the lamp. The tomb is filled with so many riches and jewels, and of course, she picks one up and gets trapped in the cave. Darn. But she gets trapped with the lamp. But after rubbing it, Genie appears, and it's Yogi Bear and Boo Boo. While this is going on, Haman poisons the Sultan and the prince. Yeah, just like that. But they're just sleeping, so they're fine, although they're not really fine because, you know, they're locked in a dungeon. Anyways, Aladdin makes her first wish to become a princess in order to marry the prince. However, when she encounters the prince, it's not actually the prince. It's actually Haman. But, you know, she doesn't know that yet until he snatches the lamp away from her and then reveals himself. So Haman has Yogi under his control now and wishes to be sultan. And he also throws Aladdin into the dungeon with the prince. You know, there she finds the prince and she prays to God that everything will be alright. Kind of like that scene. In the meantime, Haman wishes for supremacy over the whole world, which kind of gives him like these godlike powers. Like he's just suddenly in space or something. I don't know, it's kind of weird. But Aladdin escapes the dungeon and makes it to the land lamp and she successfully retrieves it. And now that it's back in her possession, she wishes for everything to go back to normal. So the prince wakes up, catches Haman, and marries Aladdin, who, by the way, turns out to be the lost princess that was stolen. And they live happily ever after. You know how I mentioned earlier that she wished, like, one of her first wishes was to become a princess? Yeah, apparently that didn't stick. Like, you know, she only had 3 wishes and she already spent 2 of them: become a princess and to escape the cave. And then the lamp gets taken away from her. Maybe it just reset the wishes for her, but like in Aladdin, that wasn't really like a thing, because when the lamp was taken from Aladdin, you know, he still only had 1 wish left. And then she wishes to become a princess again at the end of the story. But it's just like, wasn't she already a princess? Or maybe it's the fact that she wished everything to go back to normal, which was her last wish. So where did that other wish come from where she wished to be a princess? It's really confusing, but they live happily ever after, so who cares? So now we're back with Shaggy and Scooby, and Shaggy still has to marry the prince, so he stalls time even more by telling him another story. All right, guys, time for another story. This story is about a sailor who is a gorilla, I think, named Sinbad, and he joins this very angry and strict captain on what he thinks is a cruise, but really the captain is just trying to find treasure. So they make it to this island and they steal a giant bird egg, but the mama bird comes back to retrieve the egg by creating a hole in their ship, but in the next scene it's totally fine. They make it to another island, which is just a roller coaster, but it may have some rare jewels inside the roller coaster. So while they're on the ride, they grab some of the jewels and escape these animatronics. Like, there's a shark, there's a squid in football gear, and there's a 2-headed dragon. And then they make it to their last island that has a golden toothbrush. Sinbad steals the toothbrush from this British cyclops, and they make it back home. Sinbad just takes all of the treasure, like literally everything, except for like the egg. But then the egg hatches, and then the baby bird goes back to its mama bird, and the captain is just like left with nothing. I don't know, maybe the moral of the story was to not steal, and that's the end of the story. It's basically like an entire Looney Tunes episode of just like a lot of destruction, getting hurt. I don't know, honestly. But now we're back to Shaggy and Scooby, and Shaggy
still has to marry this prince.
But when Shaggy tastes the wedding cake, the chef figures out that Shaggy is in disguise. However, since the prince really liked the story so much, he makes both Shaggy and Scooby the royal storytellers. And that's where the movie ends. So now I will be giving my overall thoughts and rating this movie out of 5 stars. This movie is like really quirky. A lot of stuff like happens in such a short amount of time. Like, the pacing is so fast for it being an hour. I loved this movie as a kid, mainly because of the romance story. My love for romance really did start at a young age. And honestly, even though it was really short and there was a lot of random things going on, I still liked it. I will definitely be showing my kids this movie because it was cute, it was funny, it had a good plot, at least for the love story. I don't know about that sailor story. It's just a cartoon, you know? It's just a bunch of random events happening, so I guess it's fine. And it was entertaining. I give this movie 4 stars. And the only reason why I don't give it 5 stars, we only get to see Shaggy and Scooby 3 times. And that's why I was so surprised to find out that this was a Scooby-Doo movie. It's no wonder that I don't remember them being there. They gave like an entirely different plot. It wasn't about Shaggy and Scooby at all. It was about these 2 stories. And I also just really didn't like the sailor plot. I don't know, maybe that's just because I'm a sucker for romance, but I didn't really see a point to it. So, and looking back at it now, I actually remember skipping that story as a kid. I was like 4 and I still learned how to like skip the boring part. So combining those 2 together of not seeing Shaggy and Scooby as much and the sailor story, that's why it loses a star. But I honestly really hope to critique more Scooby-Doo movies that, you know, actually have Scooby-Doo in them for more than like 5 minutes combined, because they really are just classics. They're my childhood. They're definitely the kinds of movies that we should keep showing kids today, because I mean, yeah, some are a little scary, but they're really fun. Some do have like really good morals. So that's it. That's all, folks. I hope you guys have enjoyed this week's episode of Cowan Critiques. Once again, comment down any movie suggestions you have for me, and I will see you guys in the next film or Cowan Critique. Bye!